On this Thursday, February 5th, 2026, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has issued a dramatic public apology, admitting he believed lies told by Lord Peter Mandelson about the depth of his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In what many are describing as a groveling plea to save his leadership, Starmer expressed deep regret for appointing Mandelson as UK ambassador to the United States, insisting he was unaware of the depth and darkness of those ties. Speaking at an event in Hastings, East Sussex, this morning, Starmer laid bare his contrition. In recent days, serious allegations and serious evidence has emerged concerning Mandelson's conduct, including his relationship with Epstein, a convicted sex offender, he said. It had been publicly known for some time that Mandelson knew Epstein, but none of us knew the depth and the darkness of that relationship. The Prime Minister went on to accuse Mandelson of outright deception during the vetting process. Lord Mandelson was asked directly about the nature of his relationship with Epstein, and it is clear that the answers he gave were lies, Starmer declared. He made out he barely knew Epstein. Starmer stressed that he wants full transparency, promising to release documents related to Mandelson's appointment as quickly as possible, though he blamed police advice for current delays, citing risks to future investigations or legal processes. In perhaps the most striking portion of his remarks, Starmer addressed Epstein's victims directly. The victims of Epstein have lived with trauma that most of us can barely comprehend, and they've had to relive it again and again. I want to say this. I am sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him. And sorry that even now you're forced to watch this story unfold in public once again. He continued with a firm pledge. But I also want to say this. In this country, we will not look away. We will not shrug our shoulders, and we will not allow the powerful to treat justice as optional. We will pursue the truth. We will uphold the integrity of public life, and we will do everything within our power and in the interests of justice to ensure accountability is delivered. That is what the public expects. That is what the victims deserve, and it is what I will do. The apology came after a humiliating session at Prime Minister's Questions yesterday, where Starmer admitted knowing Mandelson remained friends with Epstein after his 2008 conviction, yet still installed him in the critical Washington role. The government initially resisted full disclosure, citing national security and international relations grounds to withhold vetting details. That stance collapsed within hours as furious Labour MPs, including former Deputy Angela Rayner, threatened to back a Tory motion for immediate release. Starmer performed a swift U-turn, agreeing the Cross-Party Intelligence and Security Committee will now decide what can be published. The committee chair has already warned that mere embarrassment will not justify suppression. The fallout has been swift and severe. Labour MPs, even some loyalists, are openly questioning Starmer's future. Senior figures warn the clock is ticking on his leadership, with one ex-cabinet minister, Lord Hutton, suggesting his time in power is nearing its end. Normally, supportive voices describe the situation as one that will not end well for the Prime Minister. There are growing calls to sack Chief Aide Morgan McSweeney, blamed for the vetting debacle that reignited after the U.S. release of millions of Epstein-related emails last week, exposing far deeper ties than previously admitted. Former Minister Carl Turner told Times Radio that Labour faces a crisis situation, and Starmer must remove advisors who gave terrible advice over recent months. If McSweeney continues in No 10 Downing Street, I think the PM is up against it in a way he doesn't need to be, Turner said. Starmer, however, voiced confidence in McSweeney yesterday, and Housing Secretary Steve Reed insisted this morning that, of course, the aide will remain in post. Reed also defended Starmer, insisting the fault lies squarely with Mandelson. The person at fault here is not the Prime Minister or his team. It is Peter Mandelson who lied, manipulated, and deceived everybody, including the media. He conned everybody. Reed described learning of Mandelson's dealings from the U.S. documents as feeling punched in the stomach. He blamed long-standing vetting processes that failed to expose the deception. The vetting process was the same vetting process that has been in place for years. In this case, it has clearly failed. If the security forces had come up with more information that showed what had been really going on, he would never have been appointed. Reed highlighted Starmer's decisiveness in sacking Mandelson at 5 a.m. months ago once the truth emerged. Lord Mandelson has denied the documents prove any law-breaking or personal gain. He has repeatedly expressed regret over his friendship with Epstein. The political damage is compounding. Markets reacted nervously this morning, with the pound falling 0.4% against the dollar and UK government borrowing costs rising as experts warned of potential investor pressure on gilts if the crisis deepens into a full-blown leadership contest. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage seized on the chaos, calling it the biggest scandal in British politics for over a century. Speaking at an event in Newport, he compared it to the Profumo affair, but far worse. It isn't just some sort of partygate, but a bit bigger. This involves sex, it involves money, it involves the royal family, it involves the leaking of market-sensitive, confidential information. I suspect it's pretty close in many ways to breaching the Official Secrets Act. This is far bigger than the Profumo scandal 60 years ago. Farage predicted McSweeney would be gone pretty quickly. Potential challengers to Starmer face hurdles. Angela Rayne's strong support, but has unresolved tax issues with HMRC after her September resignation. Wes Streeting is seen as ambitious, but was previously close to Mandelson. Andy Burnham was blocked by Starmer from a recent by-election, limiting his platform. Newer figures like Al Carnes lack seniority, while Ed Miliband has ruled himself out. Labor rules demand 80 MP nominations for a leadership challenge, and senior sources doubt any credible move before upcoming by-elections or May locals. Rumors of ministerial resignations to force Starmer out have not materialized. Starmer urged his MPs to remain focused on what we were elected for, acknowledging their anger and frustration while insisting he shares it. He committed to releasing a wide array of material, all messages between Mandelson and No 10, severance details from his sacking, and more. This is a defining moment for Starmer's premiership. The Epstein revelations, combined with the vetting failure and public apology, have left his authority badly damaged. Labor insiders describe a party in turmoil, with questions mounting over whether the Prime Minister can regain control or if the end is near. We'll continue tracking every twist. The Intelligence and Security Committee review, potential document releases, and internal labor dynamics will determine what comes next. Stay with us for updates as this story develops rapidly. Good afternoon and take care.